in all the people I have dealt with, in any professional setting, like I go to Walmart like every other morning, when I get off work. They open at 6. And it's like everybody there is really good. And, I'm wearing a mask. And this is part of the thing with the mask, that when I go into a place and I'm wearing a mask, I'm completely covered. So I don't have to worry about it, except for my voice, which I try to keep it down to single syllables. Say, how are you today? I go, fine. And I keep everything, really small. The less sampling, the better. But with, once the mask comes off, then my face is exposed. Now, I started this before masking, and I was going out that way, but I was extremely nervous about it. And so when the mask came along, I thought, well, that's interesting. I could wear a mask. And then everything became a lot easier. Did you ever see Sleeping Beauty? Mm-hmm. Okay. Sleeping Beauty. Okay, the Wicked Witch has her prick her finger, and she falls into a deep sleep. Okay, so now the good witches are going around like, what's going to happen? Well, let's put the entire kingdom to sleep so nobody knows that she's asleep. So they go around putting everybody to sleep until the prince comes along and wakes her up, and then everybody can wake up. You know when you get to stop wearing your mask?
When?
After I get my facial surgery done.
We have this patient population here of sometimes young patients, not young, but like early 20s, or much older patients, because the surgery wasn't around when they came out, or it wasn't safe and they came out much later in life. Not that they didn't necessarily know, it just they were expected to grow up, get married, have kids. That was the end of the discussion in their generation, and now they're like, that I can do this. It's so rewarding when you get like a 60-something-year-old patient that's like, I have waited my entire life to do this. Because sometimes, my friends will be like, why is a 60-something-year-old, like, they have made it this far in life, why are they even bothering with a risky surgery that has complications at their age? I'm like, because they finally get to. They finally get to be who they want to be, who they were meant to be, like.
Well, let's see. I knew I was trans when I was about 25. I first realized everything, and it was like the typical story. I first realized everything when I was 4 years old. I don't go through all that story because it took too long. But the first time I tried to transition was 1980. In 1980, everything went wrong. It was 1980, and the resistance in the world was a lot higher, and so I had to stop. Again, I was trying then with herbal medications and that kind of stuff, and that's kind of a pointless waste of time, in spite of what everybody tells you. They don't work. None of them work. You need real HRT. And then again, in about 1993, I was married, had a kid, but my ex-wife at the time decided that she wanted to go do something else. And I was just starting transition. She was very happy with it. She even found me the doctor and the psychiatrist and everything else. And back in those days, I had to pay for all of it in cash. And I had saved up all the money, and we had properties and everything else. And so I was going to be doing, I had the HRT just started. And she decided to take everything, all the money out of the bank, and bankrupted me. Left me with our kid, which he was 11 at the time. And so everything had to stop. And so I raised him. But this journey, this time, started a little over 3 years ago. I met a therapist online who was extremely good. And her name is Dr. Alicia, and she helped me through everything and got me started. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt wonderful. The testosterone blockers and the HRT gave me a whole new view of life. It felt, I can't even describe how good it felt. The results are nothing less than perfect. It looks like a genetic female. It really does. It works very, very, very well. All the nice thing about Dr. Meltzer is he maintains the sensory nerves, which is very, very important, because without the sensory nerves, well, you'll never have an orgasm again. And so he is one of the pioneers in that, and I believe everyone else uses his technique now.
And then, back in the early '90s, up to the early '90s, no one was making the sensate clitoris, which to me never made any sense. And I'd read an article about using the glans penis to do this, and I thought, well, this makes sense. And I showed it to Steve, and I said, Steve, why can't I do this? It's just a bigger clitoris. I used to help them girls with clitoromegaly, or I didn't help them. I watched them do cases of clitoromegaly and reduce them in size, so I thought, I could do this. It's just a bigger clitoris. So we just, so I started doing that in 1990, probably 2 or 91. It was kind of the perfect storm, because what happened was I did it on a patient. She put it out in the chat room, and at the time it was something totally unique to vaginoplasty, in the sense that no one before could quantitate sensibility. That wasn't all of a sudden you're not cutting any major sensory nerves, because prior to that everybody was just amputating the glands and putting it up to make it kind of look like clitoris, but it wasn't sensate. So started doing that, got on the internet, which I knew nothing about. I didn't know what a chat room was, but my practice literally exploded overnight. We kind of always looked at it as a congenital anomaly. Okay, how do you we just need to reverse the anatomy, and that's how we would look at it, and that's how we did metoidoplasty, because that was something that's very similar to perineal hypospadia. It's the same thing. So we basically learned all that.
About 2 months ago, I went to him again for breast augmentation, lip augmentation, upper lip lift. And I now have lips. I didn't have lips at all, basically, before. I just had a mouth with a hole and just no lips. It just seemed like it, but I have lips now, which I love putting makeup on now. And having lips is remarkable.
Yeah, so there's a lot of great data out there that shows that patients have reduced mental health concerns and depression and anxiety related to their gender if they have access to gender-affirming hormones or surgeries. We know that patients who don't have access to those therapies do have higher rates of suicide and suicidal thinking, and so it really is a life-saving procedure for many patients.
The nice thing is now they will cover all of my procedures. They send me an email that says, we will now cover you. It's like, please don't sue us. We will cover whatever you need. If your doctor says it's medically necessary, we'll do it. No problem. So they're now very, very accommodating. And then they went through and they changed the insurance coverage for everyone, not just for transgender people, but they removed the discriminatory language that was in the insurance policies for everyone in the company. And it no longer says that they were going to not do things that they don't think are medically necessary. If your doctor says it's medically necessary, they have to look at it as medically necessary. You've got basically it's like a pattern. It's like, okay, you need to be able to get started. So what do? You go to a therapist. The therapist gives you a letter. Then you need, you're going to get HRT, so then you need money or insurance that'll cover it. Now, let's say you need employment that needs, that has surgery, or has the insurance cover for surgery. And so you would go find an employer like mine who supplies the insurance for that. And so you can go into this thing. Once you find us, you can go through it, and it's like it tells you how to go. Basically, it's like the oil industry, going from the wellhead to the pump. You've got everything from the start to finish. Everything from starting where you get the job, the insurance, the HRT, the surgeries, everything, all the way from one end to the other. So you want to have a system. So if you have a town that doesn't have any kind of reference together yet, you can start one. You can contact us. We'll even help you. We've been doing this in other towns. So if you want to do that, give us a call or check with us. See us on Facebook. It's not hard to find us. We're everywhere. And so just go ahead and link to us. We'll help you. We'll help you put it together. And I'd love to see, like a page in each town to make it easy. So if you went to New York, if you went to Los Angeles, if you went anywhere, you could find all the providers you needed. So think about it. You can do this. It's really easy.
I think that's not going to give you. I mean, it'll just fix this part right here. It won't really address stuff along your jaw.
No, actually, it's made the story richer, honey.
Okay. But I have to
Don't even worry.
add
Yeah,
it
it's
to-
actually made this one. There's more drama.
We're going to see Alicia in the hospital, and she's had her surgery, but she also had a mild heart attack afterwards. So does that make you nervous about your own surgery, or kind of give you pause about having surgery?
No, not really. I mean, I've had multiple surgeries in general, and I've never really had any complications. The biggest thing on my mind was all the potential complications from just the surgery itself, not having your lungs filled up with fluid or all that, but more just problems with urinating, problems functionality-wise, and that type of thing. So that really never gave me pause.
Okay, so we went to see Alicia in the hospital, and unfortunately, she is currently being taken to the cath lab. So we will not get to see her today. We will try again tomorrow. Anything to say?
Better luck next time.
Better luck next time.
My voice sounds like this just simply because I had this hole in me for 11 hours, and well, it's kind of not damaged, but it's kind of sore still. That was on Thursday, and today's Saturday, I think. It is Saturday, right?
It's Saturday.
It's Saturday, and so I feel like I went against George Foreman or one of the major prize fighters, and I lost. Big time. But that's okay, because I never would have gone against one of them anyway. What?
Tell us your ordeal.
Oh, okay.
What happened?
Well, it's 11 hours intubated, and he did remarkable work. He did a cranial setback. He took my nose from being this way to being this way. He took my chin all the way down. You can't really tell, of course. He gave me cheek implants. He gave me a complete facelift. He's going to do the rest of my bottom facelift in September in Portland, and then take down my trachea shave that Dr. Whitten did about 3 years ago, a little bit more, so it doesn't show. And that should just about finish everything up. Then all that's left is for Maya to finish up the electrolysis, because Maya couldn't finish the electrolysis because of COVID. So we're a year behind on that. But
So talk us through what happened after your surgery and why you're here and not at Dr. Meltzer's hospital.
because they decided that, and keep in mind, a lot of this was related to me because I don't really know what happened. Oh, excuse me. All I remember is that I was going from recovery on this ambulance thing. I think it's an electric ambulance. Electric ambulance. And they took me to the intensive care, and they started hooking all kinds of extra hoses to me and all kinds of things. And I was like, my skin looked beautiful because you couldn't see any of the veins because it was so swollen and so perfectly white that you couldn't see anything at all. It was just like, it looked like I was about 12. It was amazing, but it was really swollen. And since then, they punched a bunch of holes in it, and they let everything out. I think I had so many machines making so much noise I couldn't sleep. Because I had like 2 IVs on each side, and PICC lines, and all kinds of things. It was really quite remarkable. And they were probing and everything, and then when they took me in for my, I guess it's an angiogram, they took me even further down inside the bowels of the building. I'm not even sure where it was, because my eye was still full and shut. I couldn't even see anything. All I remember is that they moved me around a lot, and then they hooked a bunch of stuff up, and they went in through my wrist and went up into my heart, and put dye into my heart, and put me in a big X-ray machine, and did a bunch of X-rays, and said, "It looks good, you look fine." So I was like, "Okay, that's good." And so then they came back up here, and here I am. I'm ready to get out of here. I'm losing my mind. I want to go out. I want to go home. Well, at least to the suite anyway, because where we're staying is a lot nicer than here. A lot nicer than here. It's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Much better food.
I mean, this is a patient who's very few risk factors cleared by her primary care doctor. No previous cardiac events, and we always get medical clearance to anybody over 50. But I mean, she's 67. Long operation. They frequently are facial feminizations. There's a lot to do each part, and so basically done as an inpatient. Which is what I always do, and for a long day like that, it's 2 nights in the hospital, not 1. In the recovery room, she was having airway problems, just breathing problems, because thinking, well, maybe she had too much fluid, but in reality, she said she probably had a silent type MI, myocardial infarction, and during the procedure, sometime in the course of the procedure, and we ended up putting her in the ICU, where she's done fine, but had that been an outpatient procedure, that may have never been picked up, and that patient could likely be dead. So these are big, complicated procedures. They're not surgically stressing in the sense that you have a big blood loss when you're doing, facial feminization procedure, but they're long. And no matter how many you've done, it depends on your approach. But they're long operations, and you could break them up into shorter operations. But then you're giving the patient, what's the risk of, 2 5-hour procedures or 1 10-hour, I think that a lot of times, if the risk in anesthesia is usually induction and waking up. And so you're basically doubling that by doing separate procedures when you don't have to.
Oh, just that he had a large cross on, and it was, he kept calling me he, and I had to correct him, and I think he was very uncomfortable talking with me because the other cardiologist had no problem with it at all, and it was pretty obvious that we got these, and all my surgeries are listed there. It's all listed on the directory. It has to be, especially for cardiologists. So it's not like he didn't know.
videoing?
Yeah,
Yeah, she does this.
I don't want to be in a reality.
We're following up.
Okay.
You had the heart attack and
In our last episode.
in our last episode.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what?
it's been about, I should have had my timer out. It's been about a month and 2 weeks, I think it is, if I remember correctly. It was April 22nd, whatever, how much time that is. What is today?
June 5th.
So, okay, so, yeah, about a month and 2 weeks. And pretty much all the bruising has gone away, and the swelling has mainly gone down. My nose is still getting, it's still shrinking, you know, and I got the whole thing on the end is kind of cool, a little swoop. You know, it's just pretty much everything has gone down, and I've been back to work already, and everything is wonderful. I love the work he did, and I mean, everything was great. I feel fantastic. There's no ill effects from anything. But something went wrong that was not really in his purview. It's because there are a lot of people in an operating room, and he was doing his thing, and that's all he has to concentrate on, because that's what he's supposed to be concentrating on. But something went wrong with the amount of fluid in my system in recovery, and the heart monitor kind of set off an alarm. And so, you know, I'm going, well, okay, what's going on here? I thought this is really cool. And it's like when you're recovering from any surgery, you know, it's like your brain is coming back slowly. And I'm hearing all these things, and I'm realizing that they think there's something wrong. It's funny, because it doesn't feel like there's anything wrong. So all of a sudden, I was like an ambulance going to the other side of this complex. And so basically a couple of days later, I was fine. It just took time to get the fluid out of me, basically. But, you know, everybody was in a panic because, you know, they think anything to do with the heart. I wasn't panicking. I just want to get up and get out of there because, you know, I had work to do. And, you know, it's a work of passion. So, but of course, then whenever you bring up the word heart and you get cardiologists involved, you know, it becomes a little more complicated because they put other things into you, and some of the meds didn't agree with me. They were kind of a reaction to me, and so that made things a little slower. And also when other people hear about heart people involved, heart surgeons or this heart or whatever, they called my wife and told me, and she was in a panic, and so of course I had to call her and tell her, you know, what was really going on, that I was fine and everything was going to be fine. But it being as far away, we're 1,000 miles away, and so she was up there and she couldn't really get to me easily because she had to work and everything. And so, but I had a very, very good support team with me. I had some of the best possible people with me afterwards, because I had rented this suite at this really nice golf resort, and I had my psychologist and a medical doctor staying with me. So you really can't ask for much more than that. You know, it's like if I was a billionaire, I'd probably be able to afford that. But it's like the way it worked out, it was just remarkably wonderful, because I knew that I had the best of the best at every location. And so I really wasn't really worried about any of it. All in all, it was quite a nice experience, other than the fact that I ended up having to go to the coronary care unit. But at least I got to see more fun equipment, and bells and whistles and beepers and things, which is kind of fun. You know, as many surgeries as I've had, and I have to keep reminding myself that I am 68 years of age. Which seems really alien to me. But as many surgeries as I've had, and I've had absolutely no complications at all. I mean, vaginoplasty was the big one 2 years ago, and I had nothing went wrong with that at all. I'm just, everything was perfect in labiaplasty last year. And I got the majority of these surgeries I've had have all been during COVID. And so, you know, there's all these extra levels of stuff you have to do, the masks and the tests and everything else. The isolation, and you know, I had 2 surgeries in Scottsdale and breast augmentation in Portland, all during COVID, And with all that, it's like all the extra stress, and not just on me, but of course on the entire medical staff every time too. So it just being able to finally look better, because I started from the bottom, and I did 2 years ago I did vaginoplasty, and then last year labiaplasty, and then November I got up this high, and so now I finally get this done, and I've done this completely backwards about what any rational person would have done. A rational person would have started with the face and gone down, but no, I did it Italy. But I'm happy with the decisions that I made, and everything has worked out really well. And I have probably one of the finest surgeons in the world. I'm so used to be before, and it was, I used to hate what my face looked like. I really did. And it didn't matter what mode I was in. I just hated it. I felt like my nose was like a beak. And I had do you ever watch The Addams Family?
Yeah.
Lurch?
Yeah.
With the gigantic, that's what I felt like I looked like. And it's like my nose was like this bird beak and everything else. And it's like, I'm so pleased with what he's done. And it's, just such a relief. I mean, it's been a month and a couple of weeks, and yet it's been maybe 3 weeks since I've had all the swelling gone and the bruising gone, and be able to do makeup again. And it's such a thrill to be able to do makeup now, because it comes out so much better. I don't need as much, just, it's amazing. I love it. I had no idea it would turn out this well. I had some idea that I cut out these pictures of noses and foreheads and faces and all these different things from side pictures and everything else. And I thought I'm going to take these to him and show him, So then the last day when I was going there for the pre-op, I forgot them. I forgot to take them with me. It's like, okay, that was really stupid. And but it didn't matter, because he knew exactly what to do. I should have known that. He's done so many of these. He knew exactly what to do, which is silly of me to think of. I needed to show him a picture of what I wanted. So I look forward to the last surgery on my face, at least, which is the bottom facelift, which is where they pull the skin a little bit tighter, they pull some of the fat out of the neck area, and they just tighten everything up down here a little bit. And because right now, this part of my face looks like I'm about 40, but this part looks like I'm about 70, so I have to get the two synchronized. So I'm hoping this coming November to get this part done. And then that'll be pretty much it, except for little things. And I feel like, in some ways, I've done a couple of episodes of Nip Tuck, which is a series on I think it's on Netflix now. And it's actually kind of it's kind of interesting to have gone through all these things. It is quite an experience, and it's been a lot of fun. So the one thing I can say about getting surgeries, you work really hard to get there, and when they finally happen, it's a relief. When you get to feel like you are who you wanted to be all along. But one thing you want to make sure you do is, if you're in transition and you're so into the transition and you're going through all these things, and your life is dedicated to doing all this activity for all this, and you're doing transition and doing transition and doing transition, one thing make sure you do is, at the end of transition, make sure that you don't just say, okay, I'm done, and that's it. Because what happens with a lot of people, they get to the point where they're so into the activity that when it all stops, they don't know what to do. They don't know who they are. So plan for it. Know what you're going to do next. If you want to get involved with the community, or you're going to be doing some art thing that you really you're going to be dedicated to, or some business thing or whatever. But don't just go, okay, I'm transitioned, now what? Know what you're going to do ahead of time, because having a plan will help you to avoid the depression, letdown of not having the activity. Because so many people get to that point, and I've talked to many girls, they just get to that where, well, now what do I do? I'm transitioned, everything is fine, but it's like I have nothing, to keep going. What you need to do is have a plan to be able to enjoy it when you get there. What is it your goal is? Your goal is not to just have all this attention given to you and the activity of that and all the surgery. Your goal is to live your life. And so if you don't know what you're going to do to live your life at the beginning, then no surgeries and no HRT or anything else is going to fix that. You can't fix your life by transitioning. You have to know what you want your life to be first. Because if you decide that everything is just about transition and you get to the end of it, then what? Because there is an end to transition at some point, and there, there has to be, physically has to be. And so when you get there, what is it you're going to do next? And so, it's like with me, I intend to stay involved with the community and helping our brothers and sisters with their level. Is take what I've learned and, give back. And you can do that in many, many different ways. I know some people who will go and sit with people for their surgeries. They'll live with them for a couple of days and help them get past the hard time. In some of those situations, the doctors only have people stay in for 3 days and they have them stay at a hotel. Well, if you're in a hotel and you're by yourself, and things start to go wrong, that could be a problem. So if you've already gone through all of your transition and you can give back some of your time to somebody who is in a hotel, who's just had surgery, and you've already had the experience of all this and you know what to do, then do that. Volunteer to help people, because it keeps them happy, it keeps them healthy, and it's good for you too. Volunteering is a very, very good thing to do, that you can stay connected to your transition and still help somebody, and that's a really important thing. So it makes life fun. So
if you died today, what would be your legacy?
If I died today? Let's see, if I died today. Well, first of all, the devil would say, you can't come here, you're too evil. Go back there. I think that's what keeps happening. It just keeps kicking me out. My legacy, well, let's see. I hope that I've networked enough people together that they keep going and they keep doing stuff. And I'm hoping that the pieces I put in motion keep helping people. I have a kid who's 37 now. Oh my God, he is. Damn, I'm old. No, he's 37. I'm really proud of him. He's in Texas right now. And so there's a lot of things I've done in my life. A lot of things I've done in my life that I can't talk about. But as far as things now in the reality of now, if I died tomorrow, I would be really pissed because I'm going to stick around for all these things we got started because it's a lot of fun. But I'm really glad to be here, and I'm glad to have this opportunity to start. It's almost like launching a whole new life, to feel all the experiences I get to do now. My life is so much more fun now. God, it is so much fun. But I rambled a little bit there, but I'm hoping there's something useful in there.
I think you answered just about any question I could have possibly asked.
Oh God, I'm so glad. At least you didn't ask the atomic weight of hydrogen.
Do you know the answer?
I do, but I can't remember. It kind of floated away.
You went there.
I had to.